Welcome YouTubers to my channel. This is Novi and today's DIY is this, a raven in a shadow box. For a long time I wanted to add to my Apothecary / oddities section of my Halloween decor something themed Edgar Allan Poe inspired, kind of a homage to him. He's one of my favorite writers, and I just never got around to do it. Then I saw a tutorial from Making It My Own, linked down below. If you have not visited her site, please go see it. She is very inspirational, has some wonderful DIYs worth subscribing to. And in this DIY, she had bought a canvas from Temu of a raven and did a picture of it, and it was wonderful. And then on the second part, she did a flip of a shadow box she got for a haunted house in a shadow box, and it inspired me to do this. And I of course do not have the luxury of having a shadow box, but that's okay because I have made my own. I have made my own in the past, which the pictures will follow afterwards, so you can see that making these shadows boxes, they're not just for Halloween. I've used them for home decor. I did a memorial for my dog. Making your own shadow box easy. So this tutorial will include a tutorial how to make your own shadow box. So this is one of 3 tutorials. Each tutorial will be based on an Edgar Allan Poe, starting off, of course, with the raven. I love how it turned out. It lights up. It has the tombstone with Lenore's name and, of course, the raven. I absolutely love the way it turned out. I did this shadow box a bit different than I usually do. Usually I take newspaper and or tissue and paper mache the box so that it's a bit sturdier. I did not do that this time. I wanted to try something different and use acrylic paste, and it didn't turn out as well as normal. It's not as sturdy, but it still looks wonderful. Also, one of the mistakes I made is that in the tutorial, see, I said shake it, make sure everything is secured. I shook it, but I didn't shake it enough, because once I had sealed it, and these, unlike other shadow, if you bought a shadow box where you can open it and close it, once you do these, they're sealed. And one of the tombstones were not glued, and it come down, so it's laying down instead of standing up, but that's okay because it kind of gives it a little bit of character. So this is today's tutorial. I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe, please comment down below, and like if you like this video. So let's get to it. Okay, so to make the shadow box, what you need is you need a frame, you need cardboard, you need 2 cardboard the length of the frame, and you need 2 cardboard that measures the width, and that they're all the same width this way. For starters, these frames I got on Timo. They're very nice. So you're going to take your frame apart. And what's best about these frames is that they come not with glass, but with plastic. So if it drops, you don't have to worry about the glass breaking. So we're going to take it apart. Take that out. We don't need that. Set the back side. Set the top part of the frame aside. Now I really like these back because it has a stand where it can sit up if you want. But we're going to set it down. And we're basically going to build a box out of cardboard. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to set the bottom aside for now. We're going to get two pieces. We're going to get a short piece and a long piece. And we're going to glue them together. We're going to take our hot glue and go just over the edge, like so. And we're going to, we don't want it to stick to our paper or our plastic that I have down to protect my table, my work table. So hold it together, let it dry a little bit. Now, while it's drying there, we're going to take our hot glue and we're going to run it on the inside. Let that dry. And then we're going to put it like a pyramid, and we're going to go on the outside Now if you want these strips, that's fine, but I don't want them, so I'm going to set it like so, making sure it's at a perfect angle. And I am going to take me an old skewer stick and I'm going to smooth this glue down so that we don't have that. And I'm going to set that stick aside. And I'm going to take some masking tape and I'm going to secure it in place on the outside. Like so. And then I'm going to flip it like a pyramid again, and I'm going to take the masking tape and go at the corner. Okay, round the corner off, and then tape it a little bit on the inside. So that looks like so. And then we're going to repeat that for all sides. So this is what you have, a box. And if you have a box that fits the frame, then you can skip this part. You can skip that. But not everyone has a box to fit the frame, so now you know how to fit the frame. A couple of tips. One, do not measure your pieces to fit the frame itself, but the backing of the frame. And check every now and then to make sure it fits. So now we're going to glue our back to our box, and I'm going to sit here and decide which side do I want. I think I want that side. Okay. And I'm going to take our hot glue and carefully add the glue just on the edge. Okay, now we're going to carefully put it on, making sure it's flush and on all sides. Now, flip it over. And press it down. Take your hot glue gun and go on the inside, along the edges of the inside of the box. Okay. Press it down, make sure it's, because sometimes when you do the inside like that, it'll heat up the hot glue around the edges and it'll come loose. Okay. And so you have, so now let that hot glue dry completely before going on to the next step. Okay, so now that it's dry, your frame will fit snugly in. I have these little wire bits that hold the back in, so I have to pull them out. I don't want to take them out because I'm going to use them, but And there. And it fits snugly, like so. So what you want to do now is take a pen and you want to go along and mark your frame all the way around, like I've already done, and I'll show you. So you see, you mark it, because you don't want anything to, if the shadow boxes I did before, I use paper mache paste and paper towels, which this one I'm going to do a little different. But one of the mistakes I made is I went all the way to the edge, and then it was too bulky to fit into the frame, and I had to pull it off so that it would go inside. And so you want to know where your limit is, where it goes in, and not go over that. Also, tape up around the corners, around the edges here, like I did. I forgot to mention that. Sorry. So now, like I said, this one I'm going to do a little different. Before, I always used mache paste, which is basically watered down, half glue, half water, half Elmers glue, half water, and paper towel strips. But this I'm going to do different. Instead, I'm going to use acrylic modeling paste. So I'm going to take my modeling paste here, and I'm going to try to do this so that it's inside the camera. Make sure you set your frame aside. You don't need it right now anymore. Take an old paintbrush and just spread it on. Evenly, making sure that you don't go past that line. If you do, use a piece of paper towel before it dries to wipe it off. Now, one thing you want to watch, and you'll see right here in the camera, is that if your masking tape has come up, it won't go down easy. Paste won't. So, and I like to use my fingers to help spread it more once I get it on there. It helps me where I want it to be spread. And I'm going to do one side, and then I'm going to show you. Go over the back where you have some tape. Make sure I covered all that tape. Because this also seals your box. Make sure it's nicely sealed. And I don't have any paper towels at hand, but so there's the angle. See if you can see it. And I was careful not to go over my line too much. Just take your finger and just kind of smooth and take off any paste that you feel may be over that line. And do the whole outside of the box, just the outside, and then let it dry before continuing. So, all four sides are done. I placed something to hold this foot up so it's not touching. Now, before it dries, look at it, see if you see any places that might need more or less. Also, clean any places that you feel may have gotten some of it on that edge. Take just a paper towel and carefully wipe that edge. Now, if it dries and somehow you got some on that edge, you can take some sanding paper and sand it down. Now for this project I'm not going to do it, but like I said, this is sculpting modeling paste, so you can easily put designs in there if you want. Alright, so now you set this aside and let it dry. Normally takes 24 hours to dry. That's how much I would at least let it dry for. And while we're waiting for it to dry, we'll move on to what we're going to be putting into this shadow box. Now we should prepare our frame. You could keep it the natural wood color, but I want mine black. So I'm going to be painting mine black, and it is going to probably take 2 coats, because as you can see it is streaking. So okay, so the frame is dry. I decided not to do it in a second coat because I like the dark brown wood, and it's a bit plain though. So I want to decorate it. And I have these silicone things. So I'm going to take some air dried clay, and I'm going to push them into the silicone molds. That one I want to go there. Alright, so once it dries, then we will move on to the next step. Okay, so I put 2 coats of the acrylic paste on the back and 1 coat in the front. And like I said before, when I've done this, I have used paper mache. This is the first time you use an acrylic paste on this project. for a shadow box. Normally, when I use the acrylic paste, I paper mache things first. This time I didn't do that, and I'm a little disappointed because it's flimsy. So if you don't want it flimsy, I would use paper mache paste to harden the cardboard sides. However, the point of it is it's sealed and it is one box, and since it's not going to be hanging, it's going to be sitting up like so, then I think it is okay. Now, off the camera, I painted it black. Don't think you need a DIY on how to paint. I also punched a hole here in the back. I wasn't going to put lights in it, but I've decided, yeah, I'm going to put lights in it. I printed out what I could find online. I printed out 3 things. I printed out this picture of a clock, pumpkins and ravens, and this picture of a tower, skeleton, and bats, and then this one of like an old spooky tree. And then I typed, and I'm going to show you, I typed out on my computer the Raven story. Of course, all of it's not going to fit, so I only did the last bit. So it ends, you know, with the last part where it's the most famous, "Quoth the Raven nevermore." So I wrote that. Here's the one, the other one, and here's this one. So I'm going to take our box. I'm going to take some wood glue, and I'm going to glue the inside and then put our first page in there. So I have my wood glue here. I'm going to get a paintbrush here, and I'm going to put a nice coat around. That's what it'll look like. Okay, so I've gotten both sides in, and let's see if we can turn on the light to shed some light on it. Alright, now when I printed this out, I printed it wider than the thing, so I had to cut the sides here. Now that I have it in, I'm going to take me some saran wrap, place it inside. Take my bone knife and just basically make sure everything is down. Do it on this side. Okay, so now that that's in there, I'm going to take some watered down glue, basically half glue, half water, since I don't have Modpodge or, and I'm going to tilt this so you can see what I'm doing. Since I don't have Modpodge or decoupage glue, I'm just going to use this. And I'm going to go over it carefully. And now to show you what it looks like. A little light. Since it's black, it doesn't show up very well on the camera. There. So, we're going to let this dry. And when it's dry, then we will continue. Right now, make sure your edges here on the side are down. Maybe add a little bit more to make sure my edges are down. So now we're going to let this dry. So while our box is drying, let's talk about what we're going to put into our box. Of course, we're going to put a raven. So I bought a pack around Temu, typed in raven, and bought a pack of what was listed as crow/raven, a pack of 3. So when I got them, this is the first one I pulled out. Now, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it does not have a neck. It basically looks like a black bird with what looks like a crow or raven's beak. I mean, I wasn't expecting much, but that I wasn't expecting. So, the second one I pulled out. A bit better, has more of a neck than the other one, but it still looks more like a black bird with a raven's beak. Now, the final one is even better. It has a bit longer neck, as you can see. And it creates that curve that makes it look like a raven. So, it's not perfect, but it is better than the 3. So, if you buy something like this on Temu, be ready to be kind of a little disappointed, or end up getting a black bird with a beak. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it to look exactly like it, but yeah, I'm a little disappointed at the first 2, and I really wish it had a longer neck. But this one here will work. I bought from Temu, and here's another alternative. I bought from Temu, and I'll put the link down below, some skeleton pack. It had a skeleton spider, a skeleton rat, and it had a skeleton crow. This thing is amazing. It looks like a crow, and it would have been perfect, but it's much larger. I had planned the box using this, and I hadn't got the other ones yet. And if I had have gotten them before I started my box, I probably would have used it a skeleton crow rather than a real crow, though I would have preferred a real crow because it looks more like a crow. So, one of the problems with this bird is its feet. It has normal bird feet, not crow feet, which are, you know, talons. So I'm going to try to bend these using my heat gun to use more crow-like, and they seem to be bending a little bit with my fingers, but not too much. Alright, when using a heat gun, please practice safety. Also remember that this is plastic. Not only can you burn yourself, but you could actually ruin it by melting it too hard. My suggestion is use your lowest setting and just be patient. Do it a little bit at a time, not keeping it directly on. So we're going to plug up my heat gun. That looks more like a crow. That one I'm going to have to do again because it straightened out again. But we're going to do both feet that way. I don't want to feather them out. Crow feathers are not feathered. More like so. Yeah. Should have printed me a picture of a crow to get a better look. Actually, 2 may be enough for this. Yeah. So, see if the trusty hot glue gun is okay. Put some hot glue on its butt here. Take one of the feathers. Put it right there. Add a little more hot glue on top of that, and then add this one on top. That is why I wear protection. Did you see what I did? I put my finger right into the hot glue. So it has a tail, but I think we are going to use that third one. So we add a little more hot glue. I'm on stay. Let's let that hot glue sit. I'm going to add a little more here on top of that. Well, while we're waiting, we can glue our feet back. So let's add some hot glue in this here and here. Stick that leg in. Make sure the feet are forward. Stack that leg back in. Make sure the feet are forward. Okay. And now I think it looks a lot better than it did. It definitely has a long tail. It looks more like a crow now to me. I wish it had a bit longer neck. If it had a longer neck, that would be really perfect. But, I mean, from that angle, it looks really good. But, yeah, I think that it just needed more. So, that is our crow. or Raven. Okay, what else is going to go in our box? Well, a long time ago, I ordered, I think it was from eBay, some tombstones that, because I wanted to put them on the doors of my cabinets. And I didn't want them great big like you would put it in the outside. I wanted them smallish. So I ordered, it was a group of 6 tombstones. And when the package came, I knew immediately I was going to be disappointed. There was no way that the tombstones I wanted, that I thought I had ordered, fit in such a small package. And it ended up being miniatures. So, you know, my husband always goes, look at the size. And I have a bad habit not looking in the description at the size. But in my defense, this particular time, they did not have a size. So, rule of thumb, and this is something I definitely have to learn, if you order something and it doesn't say the size, ask before you get it, or you might end up disappointed. Anyway, so these I could not use. I put them away. I've since used 2 for a craft. I have 4 left. And I'm going to use 2, maybe 3. I don't think I'm going to use 3. I think I'm only going to use 2. Now, 3 of these say rest in peace. So I'm definitely not going to use the cross one. And this one's brownish, so I don't think I'm going to use it. So that leaves these 2. This one does not say rest in peace. So this is going to be Lenore's grave. So I printed out a little tiny thing that says Lenore in gray background with white lettering. And here's the tombstone. It's got a cross on it, and I think I'm going to paste this right here. And to paste it, I'm going to actually use craft glue to paste it down. Because I'm not sure what these are made of. They're not styrofoam, they're hard, so I'm going to use craft glue to glue it down. And I'm going to glue Lenore's name on this tombstone. And I'm going to use some watered down glue here. To go over it. As such. And let that dry, because that is going to be Lenore's grave. And then the other one I like because it has a bat, and it's about the same color. It's more silver, so I might go over this one with a little silver, so that it matches. Then again, I might not, so that they both have a kind of a different look, but a same look. And I'm going to let that dry, and it looks like some of the black paint from my hands have smeared a little bit on it. So I may have to go over the letters. Okay, so our box is dry. And now I'm going to put on the lights. The lights I have here you can get in packs at Timo. They're really neat. they have this control with flash, slow flash, or set lights. I have two others that I'll show you. I have this one that takes coin batteries and it gives a blue light, but I don't think it'll give enough light in that. And I have this box battery. It gives white lights, but it's straight white lights. So I think we're going to use this one, and I'm going to unravel it. Now it's unraveled. Alright, so now we're going to stick it through our hole back here and feed it through. Now, having a light in here is completely optional. When I first started this, I said, no, I'm not going to put a light in here. And then I changed my mind. So, it is completely optional. But a light in here will bring some character to your box. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little bit there. Alright, so now I want my lights up front. So I'm going to figure out where I want my lights, and I don't want them behind my piece. I want it in front. So I'm going to sit here and play with it and see. So I want to see how much, if it'll wrap, how many times it will wrap around the box. And wraps around the box just about 1.5 times. So we're going to start it this way so that I get more of the lights at the top than the bottom. Like I said, I don't want my lights in the back. I want them toward the front, providing light inward and not from the back. So I'm going to use clothespin here and clothespin it here. Now I don't want it too much to the front because we are putting a frame on. So I want it below the frame. And like I said, just a little over 1.5. And we're going to try it out before we even glue or commit. Let's see how it looks if we did that. And it provides a nice light inside. So I think I'm happy with that. Oh, hit the button. There we go. So that now that I'm happy with it, I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to carefully glue this down. So and basically we're going to go around now and glue this light in place. Okay, so I have glued the lights in, but you can see the hot glue, and it doesn't matter what color, you can do clear and you'll still see it. And the lights, you can see the string of lights. So I'm going to turn the lights on so that I know where the lights are. I'm going to take some black paint, which I am almost out of, and a small paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint over these lines that you can see, ignoring the lights. And that's the way it looks, and it looks good. Now we just let that dry, and we get to have real fun by placing in our crow, a raven. I missed a wire here, and I'm just going to do a real quick check to make sure I got all the wires, and it does look like I got them all, so we'll come back when that's dry. Okay, so now that our box is dry, the paint is dry, we want to put our stuff inside. And what are we going to put in? Well, of course, we're going to put in our raven. We're going to put in our tombstones, which this one, I did not like how it looked, so I reprinted it this time. Instead of white, a light gray and a darker gray background, and then I took some silver paint on a sponge and just barely went over it, so it turned out really well. And a stick from the yard, I got several and cut them down, and I think this one he purchased better on. So I'm going to have to cut this branch a little shorter. So I'm going to take my wire cutters and just cut it a little shorter. Because we don't want it to touch the frame. And I think that will work. Okay, so now that we're going to make sure he fits, I have a little bump here. I'm going to take my wire cutters and try to trim that away if I can. Okay. And his feet fit perfectly. So now I'm going, before I commit to anything, I'm going to check, and it's going to have to go here. Oh, he fell. Try, yeah, it's going to have to go here. And I have these little woods, these little pieces of wood that I painted black. These come from, when you buy a canvas, they always have these type of woods like here, and these little baggies, and I keep them, and we're going to use it so we can support our branch without it touching either way. Okay, so we're going to heat up our hot glue gun. We're going to put our raven on his place, and I'm going to put on his claws in the center here, just a dab of glue here, dab of glue there, so that he is on there the way we want him to be. And these wires that come with it, I'm going to twist them around the branch so that he is in place. And I'm going to do it so that you don't really see. And there, he is perched on his thing. And you want him right there. And we're going to use the wood to support him, but first we're going to hot glue him in. So at the bottom of the branch, I chose this one because the bottom was kind of flattish. We're going to put some hot glue. Put a little bit right here where it will touch. And we're going to put him in. Now, I'd like him a little lower, so I'm going to cut the bottom of this a little bit with my... Sorry for the break, I had to go get my gardening shears. So, I didn't like how high it was. I felt it, I wanted the raven to be in the center. And the bottom wasn't, though it was flattish, it wasn't completely flat. So cutting it with my garden shears, I was able to get it flat. So I'm going to now put this in. And we'll hold it. And these I'm going to glue like a base around the twig so that it holds it in place. Okay, so there we go. Let's turn on the light. See how lift it up, see if you can see the base. But like I said, you won't be able to see it because the base, because we will be covering that with some Spanish moss. So now we want to put in our tombstones, and we have to figure out where we want them. And I want them to stand a little bit higher. So I'm going to take four pieces of these. Do I have 4 pieces? No, I only have 3 left. So I'm going to, for the back one, alright, so for Lenore, we definitely got 2. She's going to be close to the raven right here. That way. And then the other one, maybe just 1 toward the back. Yeah, that's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to take 2 of these and glue them together. So taking my hot glue. And I will glue them together. And then I am going to put Lenore's tombstone on it. And press it down. And then for the other one, down. Hot glue this. Make sure I have Lenore's name pointing forward. And she is going to be right here with the raven. And then the other one kind of off in the background. And I think I am going to use a third tombstone. I think I'm going to use the cross, even though I said I wasn't going to, and just kind of put it in the background with nothing on it. So that this looks like a graveyard. And so that's how it looks. Looks good. Okay, now I'm going to get some of the Spanish moss that I have. And I'm just going to get a little bit here. That's some here left over from a previous project. And I'm going to put Spanish moss around the bottom of the tree so you don't see the base. A little bit around Lenore's grave. And some here at the bottom a little bit. Okay, and we're just going to add some hot glue here. As you can see, this is why I use the fingers, because I'm clumsy, and if it's hot glue and it can hurt you, I will get my fingers in it, like I just did. Okay, and turn it around so you can see. And I think it looks good. So our next step, we're going to give it time to let this set, but our next step is to put on our frame. Okay, so as you can see, the frame fits on. So before we finish assembling, I'm going to set the frame aside here. You want to turn it around, make sure there ain't nothing that is moving around. Now, for the frame, they have these little metal things here, and I was going to keep it on thinking it'd give me more snugness, but they actually interfere more, so I removed them, and I'm going to show you how I removed them. They're very easy. You just take a needle nose pair of pliers and grab a hold of them and pull them out. Now that we're ready, let's assemble our the rest of our shadow box. Like I said, what I liked about this instead of glass, it came with plastic, and that way if you store it, it's not going to break. If you hang it up in the house, then glass is fine, but if you store it every Halloween, then, you know, plastic is probably better. So this has some kind of film on it to protect it, so we're going to remove that film. Now we're going to flip our frame over to this side, and we're going to take craft glue, not we don't want hot glue, because hot glue dries too fast, and you want something that I'm going to set the box aside here. You want something that you can, that doesn't dry too fast, so that you can move things around if you need to. So we're going to put the glue on the inside here around the edges. Alright, now we're going to carefully set in our plastic thing, press it in, and we're going to repeat. We're going to put some glue again. Now we're going to take our shadow box, flip our frame around. Oops, I turned the lights on. The button. There. Alright, there we go. And going to fit this in. That side. This side to go in. That pops in. Press it down. And now you have your glass on there. Or your, well, this is plastic, but yeah. Now as an option, if you wanted to, you could take hot glue, and I have done this before, underneath the rim, along the back of the thing, here, along here, to make sure that nothing moves. But I'm not going to do that, right, because it fits snugly. So now in the beginning I made these clay pieces, but then I remembered I had some silicone molds of feathers, so I made different pieces, set the other ones aside, and I found my trim ones. And then I also remembered that I had this cameo. So I painted them black and dry brushed them with gold, and I'm going to set them where I want them before I commit and glue them. And then when I glue them, I will glue them with craft glue, not hot glue, because once again, I want to be able to move them around. Okay, so now that you know where you want it and how you want it, take your craft glue and you're going to set it down. So here we go. And that is our raven. Turn the light on. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and as always, happy crafting.